what I'm going to talk to you about today is Facebook. This is going to be a little bit weedy, but hopefully lots of fun, because Facebook is fun, and you should have fun with it. And I want to show you what we do really well at Pacific Northwest Ballet, give you some examples of things we've done really not well, and hopefully you can learn from both those examples. So, moving right along. So I'm from Pacific Northwest Ballet. We're located in Seattle, Washington. We're a company of 44 dancers with 100 performances a year. Nutcracker, of course. We have 2 schools, and we are 42 years old. So we've been playing around with social media since 2008. Facebook was the first property that we assumed. At P&B, we're a little bit different. We don't have a single social media manager, and we kind of like it that way. It's a shared labor of love between probably 5 of us. So we're really active on Facebook. We're getting really active on Instagram, so I'm really excited for your talk in a few minutes. YouTube, Twitter, and play around a little bit on Pinterest. 115,000 Facebook fans. So this is nothing that you haven't heard before, but I think it's important just to frame everything when we're talking about Facebook, that it needs to be fun, needs to be visual, your posts need to reach a really, really broad audience, and they need to be real and authentic, so coming from you. So many reasons to hate Facebook, right? So many reasons. It's really hard to keep up with how the algorithm works. They're changing it all the time. Things that worked 6 months ago might not be working now. It's really hard. But all that said, as Eric said earlier, it's still the place where most of your people are. It's the only place where you can upload lists of your people and actually target directly to them. It's still the thing that everybody checks, so it's important, and I think it's worth investing resources in. So I'm going to go through my 10 tips for how you can deliver really good Facebook. And the first thing you need to do, something that people ask me a lot, is, well, how do you get the trust to do the things that you guys do? Sometimes you do kind of wacky, silly things, and our artistic director, our executive director, would just freak out if we dared to be funny or to leave up the negative comments or any number of things, fill in the blank. So how do you gain trust? I'm not going to be able to teach you that in 3 minutes, but I think you have to, first of all, know what your data is. So the more you know about the people who like your page, the more you can speak to what they're going to respond to, right? So we have lots and lots of teenagers. We're a ballet company. I think probably all the ballet companies have the same thing. You have this enormous built-in audience of young ballet students who are 13 to 25, right? Mostly female. So I know that. So that allows me to say yes or to say no to certain kinds of things on social media. So I don't spend a ton of time in Insights looking at everything. I don't have time to, and I don't expect anybody in this room does. But there's the key performance indicators that you need to know, like how old are these people? Where do they live? Only 30% of my fans actually live in a geographic region where they can come and see my performances regularly. So I consider that with the kind of content that we choose to show. Be really open about what you're doing. I'm not going to name any names, but there's an organization that I work with that produces videos and then doesn't fly them up the flagpole because they know that they're not going to be seen by certain executives, and they don't speak to what the organization is. That's not cool. If you're going to put it on Facebook, it needs to be okay. Like, you can push the envelope. I'm totally for that. Be funny, be cheeky, but make sure it speaks to who your leaders think your institution is and who you say that you are. Another way to gain trust is to listen to the ideas that you're getting from your board and your higher-ups. I'm sure they have a lot of ideas for you about how to do great social media. And their ideas probably aren't great, but it's your job to figure out, like, okay, what's the kernel in there that works, and how can I apply it to something that we're doing so that they can see that we are integrating their ideas into our strategy in a way that works for your page. And I also think you need to love social media if you're trying to talk people into buying into your objectives. It needs to be fun for you too. So that's trust. This is shared relevancy. Eric and Becca and their team, they call this Venn diagram examples. These are really fun. So these are the kind of posts that go the craziest for us. And they're definitely most of the time not moving the art form of ballet forward in any kind of way. But what they are doing is really engaging our fan base, and that's important too. Get to that later. So let me show you some examples of some recent posts of shared relevancy that performed really well for us. There we go. So you might have heard about the Seattle Seahawks. They won the Super Bowl last year. That was a huge deal in Seattle. That just doesn't happen in Seattle. So Seahawks were everywhere, and every company in town was trying to figure out a way to attach their name to that bandwagon. And of course, we wanted to do the same. So what were we going to do? Well, we got some dancers to volunteer to position themselves into a 12. And we took a picture of it. We said, "Go Hawks, love Pacific Northwest Ballet." I can't read how well that did from here because I need glasses. But we posted this on Facebook and on Twitter. I think the Seahawks tweeted it out, right, Lindsay? It went crazy, and everybody thought, "Oh, that's cute. There's P&B doing what we do," right? I mean, we don't go around in 12s all the time, but we're showing you that we're athletes too, and that we're on board, and this is fun. Here's another example. Holidays are a great time for shared relevancy kinds of posts. This guy is hilarious. He's a stay-at-home dad / photographer who does all these really funny photos with his daughter. Her name is Alice B. You see her there. So for Father's Day, he did this, or we repurposed this picture that he did for Father's Day, thanking all the ballet dads in the audience. And I think thanking the ballet dads was important because anybody who has a ballet student or has been a ballet student knows how hard their parents work to get them to ballet and back. So that was fun. What else do we have? This one is a good one. So May the 4th this year was a weekend, and I was just at home, and I was flipping through my Facebook, and I saw all these ridiculous Star Wars posts for May the 4th be with you. And I thought, oh my God, we can do this. So whip this up on the computer really fast. PicMonkey, this is just a side note for people who don't have a lot of Photoshop skills, don't have the time or the resources to learn them. Check out PicMonkey.com. You can make all this kind of stuff really fast and easy. So that went crazy. And this gave people an opportunity to share their love of Star Wars and ballet with their fans. Got a ton of shares. This next one is really fun. You might have heard of an artist by the name of Ben Haggerty, also known as Macklemore, was a student at our ballet school. So he was huge last year, right? And our school administrator found out what his real first name was and went, "Oh my God, he was a student at PMB." So we dug out this hilarious, I think some of you can probably tell this is early 90s era with the columns in the back and the fake IV picture of Macklemore at ballet school. So that was fun too, and then it gave us an opportunity to recycle this other picture of Jonathan Peretta, one of our principal dancers, running into Macklemore at the shelving part of IKEA. So that's them right there. So really fun. Inside jokes. Ballet people love inside jokes, and they are funny. So I'm going to show you a few examples of that. But what do I mean by an inside joke? It's something that people can share, right? That's sort of the ultimate goal with their fan base that tells them a little bit about who they are and what's important to them. So it seems funny, but it's not, because they're making a statement when they share your content about who they are as a person. Here's one we made at the top: "When in doubt, turn out," right? If you're in a ballet, you know what that means. It's a beautiful picture, beautiful legs and feet. And we made that ourselves in-house. And then down there at the bottom, that's content that we sourced from someone else, Tiffany and Company, girl's best friend, diamond point shoes. Here's a few more that we made. I have to give Lindsay Thomas, our videographer, photographer in the second row there, a lot of credit for these because she takes a lot of these pictures and then has these ideas and pulls these together. All the dancers know these are the real high heels. Dancers think that's hilarious. How dancers text. Like, I was surprised this one did so well because that just looks like what it looks like when you're walking to the copy room at PMB. That's what you see. But people loved it. So that I would call those inside jokes. So internet sensations. Ice bucket challenge, right? This was funny for us because everybody was nominating arts organizations, but nobody was nominating us. So we were waiting and tossing ideas around, and all the dancers were nominating each other individually, but nobody was nominating PMB. And we were starting to get a little frustrated, and finally it happened. We got nominated, and Lindsay had this great idea because we knew if we got nominated, we wanted to do something different because it had been so long, right? Like, that was so cute for a while, and then a week into it, it's like, oh, God, another one. So I'm going to play for you what we did, I think. Do you like the heartbeat? So that was really fun, and this is what we always try to do, is see what everybody's doing, but spend a little time just knocking it around in your head. Don't have to be first. You're probably not ever going to be first, but come up with something that uses what you have in-house and put your own spin on it. Here's another example of that. World Ballet Day. The ballet companies in the audience know about this. So this was a few weeks ago. And we weren't actually in it, but of course the World Ballet Day people were, can you tweet about it? Can you post about it? It's like, well, no, it doesn't have anything to do with us. Like, why? So we came up with this because World Ballet Day was really fun. It was really interesting, and people who were into ballet were watching it all day, and we were too. So we just snapped a little picture of the dancers watching it and went along our merry way. Way more interesting than, hey, this is happening, go watch it here. Everybody knows it's happening. Okay, hard news. Bad things happen. And I have two examples for you of recent things that have happened to PMB. Can you hear me? That we've had to manage. So here's my advice. Line up your defenses when bad things happen. Suit your message to your medium. What do I mean by that? You're probably going to want to have a Facebook post that's short. You're going to want to have an email to your really important people. You might have something on your website. Just make sure that you're repurposing all your copy so that it's appropriate for the medium that it's suited to. Allow people to have their feelings about what you're announcing, and just take a deep breath and let it roll. So first up, this February we announced that we're going to retire the version of Nutcracker that we've been performing since 1983. So this was a hard thing to announce. This is a really beloved production by a lot of Seattle audiences. And it came out in the paper. We wanted to be sure that everything was happening kind of simultaneously, right? So it came out in the paper that morning. There's a link to the article. We knew it was happening. We were in cahoots with the paper, which was nice of them to let us know that they were going to be talking about it. So we posted it too, and I tried to, in the post, like, take emotion out of it and just sort of kindly state the facts with a beautiful image. This post got a lot of comments, which I'll talk about in a second. And then we posted again. So we at PMB felt like, oh my gosh, everybody's talking about this. Everybody knows about this. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened. And then we would hear throughout the day, like, people who were so close to us hadn't heard the news. Because as you know, not everybody sees everything you're going to post on Facebook. A little later in the day, the Seattle Times, which is our big daily newspaper in town, posted a poll. Is PMB doing the right thing? Now, I got in big trouble, but I did it anyway. I posted this poll to allow people to chime in because I thought it was really important that we continue to have that conversation and to let people have their piece. Like my feeling about it was like, here's the news is out, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off and let the news be out, and whatever happens is going to happen, but we don't want to keep reliving this story for the next 8 months. So I posted this and got in a little bit of trouble about it, but I'm still glad I did it. And if you ever need something to read through at lunch, you can dig these up on our page. We got yelled at a lot that day. And we also got a lot of comments from people saying, cool, this is exciting. It's really innovative. You're doing something new. Good for you. This happened really recently. Carla Corbis is a principal dancer at Pacific Northwest Ballet. She is our most famous dancer. She's internationally renowned. She's amazing. If you ever get a chance to see her dance, you absolutely should. So she decided that this was going to be her last year with PMB. She's had some injuries, and it's time for her to move on. You can read that there. So we knew people were going to freak out, right? Like, it's not often that you're a 33-year-old dancer at the prime of your career when you just say, and walk away. But that's what she was doing. So we knew we were going to have a lot, again, lots and lots of feelings to manage, a lot of people with a lot of opinions about this, wondering why. Is there a backstory? There really isn't. I was really proud of how we rolled this news out. So we posted on Facebook. We were able to get an exclusive article written about it in the New York Times. So Carla only had to talk to one person. New York Times told us exactly when they were going to post the story. So they posted it. We did this. Then we sent an email to our supporters, like from the desk of Peter Bowl, telling them about what was going on, so that people were connected to this story and getting all the information in the appropriate places in a really fast way. People were really sad about that too. Okay, this happens a lot, right? Outreach, say, that's who it is for us, comes up to you with a great idea for social, for something they want to post that you know nobody wants to see. And it's really, really hard to say no. And this is where your data comes in. You know, this is true to say this. God, I would really love to share that. But if I post that now, the next posts that we do aren't going to get the same reach, because that is a tankable post. We cannot do it. So I think it's good to have examples of your worst stuff around. Keep it top of mind so you don't ever do that again. And also, sometimes you do have to do it again just to prove to yourself that it still stinks. You all know this. Avoid the really salesy, specific, sponsor-driven messaging. I like to offer to tweet about it instead. And sometimes you can't get out of it, right? So you're going to want to mitigate it with great short copy, the best image you can find. And then don't be afraid to target things that are super specific. Here's some stinkers. Those are kids from our summer course standing in front of Ride the Ducks. I sort of thought that would do better, but it was awful. And then here's our little non-professional student performance group. Nobody cares. I mean, 115,000 people don't care. 40 people care. Here's Peter Bowl. He's adorable. He's wonderful. But just him standing there clapping, saying that he loves teens, that's kind of weird. Nobody cares. And then this is a photo booth, also about some of our teen outreach programs. This isn't the right place for that. So I love to do this, sneaky sales messages. I add a ticket info to my best posts with the most knockout images that I know are going to do really well. And a lot of times I'll even include a discount and like some sort of little thing like, oh, you're a local fan, so check here. We did a really cool project this September where we had some of the original interpreters of George Balanchine's Jewels come to PMB and work with our dancers. So here's a picture, it's Jonathan again, that he had of him with Eddie Villela as a child, and then there was a picture that we snapped of Jonathan working in the studios with Eddie like 30 years later. So we're encouraging feedback, which I think is important. Don't ask for likes on every post, but do it sometimes. Like, give us a like for this full circle ballet moment. And then local fans, you can come and see Eddie here, and then here's the link. Same thing here below, just a throwback Thursday picture of George Balanchine with his jewels, and a little ticket discount. Thank a sponsor. This is really hard too. How do you do this for development while maintaining the integrity of what you're doing? This was the best example I could find of where we did that. It's just a beautiful poster, and very tastefully at the top, this jump brought to you by the Paul G. Allen Family Foundation. That's easy. We can do that. Doesn't hurt. Videos are far and away like the best kind of engagement and reach that we get on our Facebook. So upload them right to Facebook. Do them in the evening when people have time to actually watch. Nobody wants a video firing up while they're in a meeting, pretending they're not looking at Facebook under the table. Keep them short. If you have one that's long, divide it up into 3 and spread your reach out. Add a ticket link, again, with your post about the videos. And I'm going to show you here where you can see this is like the last 3 months of insights. All the highlighted posts are video posts. So they just pretty much blow everything else out of the water. When to censor. This has to be your own call. We don't censor much. We censor it if it's individually mean. We take it down if it's stupid and spammy and doesn't have anything to do with anything. Anytime somebody has something negative or a constructive criticism for students, that's out. And weird comments, those are kind of fun. If we can let things be and let fans take care of fans, that's entertaining for everybody. So you can read this in your downloaded handouts, but these two just went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And we didn't have to say anything. We just kind of found it and laughed. So I'm going to tell you about something that we do at P&B a lot that combines a lot of these elements into a way to sell tickets and build up your email list. And it's contesting. Doesn't have to be a big deal, just free tickets. If you have a sponsor that wants to be involved, throw them in there too. Build a landing page on your site. Do a Facebook post announcing the contest. Target that post to people who don't already like you, but you think should. And people will come and enter. So here's what the landing page looks like for us. Like, fill it out. And then there's a place to put a sponsor logo. So for our most recent production of Jewels, we got 283 new email leads, and we sent an email that had a 68% open rate. What? Like, that's crazy. And so if you lose, we send you an email with a discount so that you can still come and see the show. We got 79 new Facebook fans. I only spent $150, and we sold 14 tickets. Not a thrill, but still a lot of new email leads and a lot of engagement. Where to find content? One of the most important things I learned at last year's boot camp was that you can reuse your own best content. Like, oh, yeah, of course you can. Like, we never ever did that. But go through and see what was doing really great a year ago and post it again. Nobody's going to remember. And most of them won't have seen it before, right, with the way it works now. And those that have, they'll give you a pass. Pinterest is a really fun place to spend your lunch if you're looking for interesting, engaging things. We share reviews and articles about us, but we always share them with an image. I don't share just the link from the newspaper. Recycle. Make your own. We made this content. We saw somebody else doing this, so we did it ourselves with a picture of our own dancer, Callie Nakamura, giving her ordeal with it. Look through your archives. San Francisco Ballet does an awesome job of this. I'm so jealous of all their beautiful old photographs of dancers on the Golden Gate Bridge, and we just don't really have that stuff, but if you do, use it. It's really fun. Repurpose things from your artists. You probably have artists who are snapping lots of pictures and really active on social media. Build a relationship with them and see if they'll share their assets with you, and use your own images. So I don't need to read through this for you because you're going to hear about Instagram next, and that's really exciting. But here's my top 10 tips, tricks, and tactics for Facebook. Thanks.